What is up? What is up, party peoples? Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers, and thanks for coming back with some more popcorn. Joining me for a little BrassReel tonight, or as I'm changing the title of this, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. TWT, maybe. I don't know. TWT. So I don't know. We'll figure that out. But I've found out that I can do about 30 minutes to an hour Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday without interfering with all the other things that I'm trying to accomplish, whether it be the short film I'm finishing, art projects I'm doing, trying to stay alive and just make money, the YouTube channel itself with other reviews. But, I want to keep it spicy on the channel. So also, you guys comment. Anytime you want to comment in, you can comment and I will definitely respond to you on the chat. But only when it's live. I'll try to respond to comments later on after the chat or after the live stream. If I get like a YouTube comment or something like that, I always try to respond to those, but these I'll respond directly to right away. But guys, I'm sure you clicked on this thumbnail and saw Taika Waititi and Lady Gaga on there. But before we jump into that, I am going to talk about Ryan Gosling as Ken in Barbie. All right, so this photo just got released, and man, could that not be any more spot on? I mean, look at that orange spray tan, the pink lips, the platinum hair, that blue jean cutoff shirt or cutoff sleeve jacket. I mean, all of that's fantastic. And I'm not really sure what to expect with this Barbie movie, but it is. I have to say, it's pretty interesting to think about what's going down with it. And I think that while they're going to have some fun with it, I think they're trying to actually take some sort of a semi-serious approach or have some sort of moral to the film, underlying, tone, like Pixar movies do. But it has piqued my interest just seeing this. And I mean, we've never seen a live action Barbie movie. So, I mean, I have to say, I'd like to see it personally. So I just wanted to show that for a second. I thought that was kind of funny. That literally just got posted like an hour before I started getting ready for this stream, as far as uploading my pics and everything. But thank you guys so much again for tuning in. If you are tuning in, and if you're not tuning in live, thanks for clicking on this video anyways. So before we jump into our main topics, just a quick little, off the top type things we're just going to cover. Quick hits that I just wanted to get to. Got to do a Miller update. Got to do an Ezra Miller update. Have to do that just because, I mean, come on, this is crazy. So our boy, good old Ezzy, not you as Maniac, but Ezra Miller. Man, you guys watched the stream yesterday, or if you've even been paying attention to what's going on in the news with him, he's basically just losing his mind. I feel like, there's all kinds of theories of what's going on, but it feels like he's just gone off the rocker 100%. Not taking her hostage, but just running off and not being able to be found with this one girl who's significantly younger than him. And when they met, she was significantly younger, like 12. But they're trying to serve these orders and everything, and they can't find him. They're nowhere to be found. So in response to all this, Ezra, without trying to get into contact with anyone or get back and just say hi and okay, we're here. I'll accept the orders or whatever. He proceeded to post all these memes, which were extremely weird. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but it says, "You cannot touch me. I'm in another universe." So I printed these memes out like this just because I thought that you'd be able to see them better long ways, just because they were released long ways. So that's why I've got them kind of looking like this. It might be hard to see. But anyways, that's a meme that he posted. "You cannot touch me. I'm in another universe." Strange. I mean, come on. It's just not what normal people say when you know that you're being hunted down, essentially, in the public eye. It's on news sources, and you post that. Here's another one. It's really strange. So it's like me remembering how it was nice when I should have said, "Who the F do you think you're talking to?" And it's a guy puking. All right, I don't know what that means, but it's just strange. I'm sorry. It's just, is it not weird? All right, here's another one. Again, he's just posted all these. And this one is showing people, me, I think referring to Ezra. And then all this, see this, I don't think CBC what's behind their hands, like it's a flower bouquet, but it says headache. I mean, it's extremely cryptic. I feel like if somebody could chime in and tell me what this means, it would help me. But I don't know what it means. But it's weird. And then this one is really weird, and it's like basically saying that my success can't be put down by other people and other people's need. But it's self-righteous in a way. And look, I don't want to dig too deep into all that because we talked about it yesterday. And those memes, I don't want to talk and dig what those memes mean specifically, but you can look them up on your own. Just check out those memes on the internet. Look them up. Just type in Ezra Miller memes. I'm sure they'll be the first thing that come up, even over memes that people have made about him. But if not, just Google Ezra Miller update, and it'll be one of the first 3 articles that come up. So just Ezra, man, you're really tainting this whole franchise right now. So stop. All right. Moving on to some other news real quick. I thought that this was pretty interesting. Um, I'm going to I'm going to put it like this right here. I think that that'll be just a little bit better. So, and I'll go ahead and read this stuff for you, but I just wanted to put a picture of them up there. So Jerry Seinfeld, Hugh Grant, Amy Schumer, and Melissa McCarthy, among a lot of other people. I think these are the main stars of the film, and Jerry's actually writing and directing it as well. They're doing a Pop-Tart movie about the creation of the Pop-Tart. So I'm going to go ahead and read the article here for you guys. It says that Jerry Seinfeld is cooking up an A-list ensemble to star in the Unfrosted, the Pop-Tart story. That's the name of the movie. A movie about the creation and popular breakfast treat. Melissa McCarthy, Jim Gaffigan, Amy Schumer, Hugh Grant, and James Marsden will headline the upcoming Netflix alongside Seinfeld, who is also writing and directing the movie. Set in 1963 Michigan, Unfrosted is described as a tale of ambition, betrayal, sugar, and menacing milkmen. Inspired by a bit of Seinfeld's latest stand-up special, 23 Hours to Kill, the silly story unfolds as sworn cereal rivals, Kellogg's and Post race to create a pastry that will change the face of breakfast forever. And I guess it did, right? The Pop-Tart's pretty crazy. So the stat call sheet also includes Jack Mcbrayer from 30 Rock, Tom Lennon from Reno 911, Adrian Martinez from I, Gilbert, Bobby Moynihan, which I love, from Saturday Night Live, Max Greenfield from New Girl, Christian Slater. Golly, man, that's crazy. And then Sarah Cooper from Sarah Cooper, Everything's Fine. So anyways, that's pretty crazy that's coming out, and Jerry Seinfeld's behind it. Look, if you guys know me at all, I love Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry's one of my heroes when it comes to comedians. Seinfeld is my favorite sitcom of all time. Still is. I still watch it today, and it cracks me up. Are some of the things slightly 90s? Maybe. Are some of the things, the way they're dressing and things they refer to like obsolete, like phones and things like that. So it's situational comedy based around that time. So I understand that people that are really young maybe can't relate with it a little bit like they can with Friends, because Friends was so relationship based. Seinfeld was just literally about nothing. It was about a bunch of bullshit. And it was hilarious. And they never had one serious moment on that show. I don't know if you realize that or if you think about that, but they literally never had one moment on that show where they took anything really seriously. Even when they went to jail, they didn't take it seriously. Even when people were dying, they were making jokes about it. And I'm not saying that's what you should do in real life. I just think it's hilarious that a show like that really existed back then. And in fact, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia probably wouldn't exist without Seinfeld. There's even an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they have like a flashback where they're all in the Seinfeld world. And it's really funny because Dennis and Mac are both Jerry. It's hilarious. But Charlie's Kramer, Danny DeVito's George, of course. Anyways, it's really funny. Dee's Elaine. But I just feel like that there's going to be something good about this if he's connected to it. I thought B Movie was actually pretty funny for what it was, but with these guys, I mean, boy, if they don't make this work, it's going to suck for them. You know what I mean? It's going to be a big letdown because this is a lot of A-listers. And again, Jerry Seinfeld starring, writing, and directing in it. Whoosh. So next thing, and now we're going to get to the main stuff now. So our boy Taika Waititi, or I think that's how you say it. Taika Waititi. Correct me if I'm wrong. He just came out recently, as of a few hours ago. I say a few hours ago, within the last 24 hours. So we knew that he was going to be doing a Star Wars film. So Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder, who he also did What We Do in the Shadows, the original movie. I think he's a producer of the new show. And for some reason, I'm drawing a blank on the film he did with the little boy. Uh, oh shoot, I got to look this up. The film he did with the little boy that was training to he loved Hitler. It was like back in the Nazi days, but it was a very emotional. Let me see. I got to figure this out because that's just going to drive me crazy. Let's see. List of Taika Waititi's movies. I'm sure that somebody is going to find out real quickly. Let's see. Here we go. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Come on. Are you kidding me? It's not showing it. Jojo Rabbit. There we go. Whew, man. Sorry about that. So we know that the guy is talented with the Thor stuff with Jojo Rabbit. He directed an episode of The Mandalorian, which I think was a lot of people's favorite episode. It definitely had the most heart and soul and humor to the film. I feel like you related or to that episode. I feel like you related to it more. I'm really excited to see what he's going to be doing with Star Wars. And the main thing that he's really just come out and said is that he's not going to associate it with any of the characters that you're familiar with. This is going to be a new Star Wars trilogy. And I'm glad because it needs to happen. We know it needs to happen. I'm done with those characters. I'm not saying that you can't have fun with them here and there, but I mean, look at what the MCU is doing, man. They've only been around for, going on 15 years now, and they've already moved on from the core characters. Yeah, they're still holding on to some of the characters a little bit, but I also feel like it's because their stories aren't really done being told. With Star Wars, I mean, these are characters that were created in the late 70s. And this last prequel trilogy, or excuse me, this last sequel trilogy, all it really did, yes, it introduced Poe. Yes, it introduced Finn and Rey and all that. But all it really did was just introduce those to build on top of the Skywalker legacy. And with Leia and everything, I mean, I hate to say this, but when Carrie Fisher passed away in real life, which was before Last Jedi was released, they had every opportunity in Last Jedi to write her out of the script with a kind of poetic death a little bit. They even make you think she's going to die in the movie and then they bring her back. It's like kind of had your opportunity to write her out of it and move on from that. I'm not saying I don't love Leia. Of course I love Leia. But I'm over it. Like what I really like and what I think would have been really great is like if we hadn't have seen of Luke at all in the sequel trilogy, never saw him, nothing like that. And it was Last Jedi wasn't based on everything. As much as I enjoy Last Jedi, a lot of people hate me for that one because I think it's the best out of the sequel trilogy. I think it would have been great if he wasn't in it at all. And then we see things like when we see him in Mandalorian, like him show up and do some cool stuff like that. Can you imagine how much cooler that would have been if we hadn't have seen Luke Skywalker since the original trilogy and we had never seen him on screen since, and all of a sudden we see him show up in that same time in Mandalorian because Mandalorian takes place all in that more closer to that time period. I mean, that would have been so much more effective, in my opinion, than what we got with the way Luke was sort of. It's like they couldn't get away from it. And even now, don't get me wrong, I wanted to see the Obi-Wan story, the Obi-Wan Kenobi story, and I haven't watched episode 5 yet, which I'm going to watch today. But I have to say, thus far, 1 through 4, I wasn't all that impressed with. There was a few cool Vader moments, especially in episode 3. There's a really cool Vader moment. But other than that, as an entire show, I don't know. It wasn't doing it for me. So the fact that Taika is just ready to move forward, I mean, he's just like, look, we are going with new characters because there's a huge world of Star Wars that exists outside of Skywalker and that group of people. I mean, there really is. I mean, it's been created for the last 30, 40 years now. I mean, think about that. Is it 50 years old now? Because 77, 87, 97, 2007. Yeah. Oh, it's over 50 years old. Holy shit. So anyways, I'm terrible with math, so nobody get mad at me. I'm sure there was a big 50-year celebration and all that shit, but I sorry. Um, so I'm going to look into this article real quick, guys, and I'm just going to read some of this stuff because this has got me happy, and I think it's going to get you guys excited as well. So Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy wasn't joking when she told the Total Film magazine last month that Star Wars will need to create a whole new saga in order to return to the big screen, not just rely on threads from the past. That's exactly what Taika Waititi wants to do with this upcoming Star Wars movie, which will be the franchise's first movie since the Skywalker saga came to a controversial end, The Rise of Skywalker. Waititi recently told Total Film that he's not interested in making a movie with pre-existing characters and story threads. Think Rogue One, which connects directly to A New Hope through the Death Star, or telling origin stories like Ron Howard's polarizing Han Solo prequel. The Thor Love and Thunder director aims to create some new characters and expand the world of Star Wars with his movie. And this is what I like that he says specifically down here. Look, I think for the Star Wars universe to expand, it has to expand. What T.D. said. I don't think that I'm in any use in the Star Wars universe making a film where everyone's like, oh, great. Well, that's the blueprints to the Millennium Falcon. That's Chewbacca's grandmother. That all stands alone, and that's great. Though I would love to take something new and create some new characters and just expand the world. Otherwise, it feels like it's very small story. And he's right on that. I feel like that when you keep on focusing on these old characters, you make this what's supposed to be massive world of Star Wars, you make it feel really small. And you need to branch out with this. It's sad when the games are some of the better content for Star Wars that have been put out and not cinema. The cinema people are disappointed with, but the games actually bring something new and cool to the table. I mean, I just never thought we'd live in a world like that. Not that I'm complaining about the games because I love them, but I need these Star Wars movies to work back and be epic. And the sequel trilogy, I think everybody can agree with me, just wasn't. I never thought I would be a day would come where I would say I like the prequels better than the sequels. You know, like now when I look back on the prequels, they've actually aged pretty well over time, in my opinion. Are there some bad dialogue choices? Yes. The dialogue as far as the screenplay writing, like the literal like script dialogue writing in those three movies are really bad in my opinion. It just comes off cheesy the entire time. And I think that that's a reflection of Lucas just taking on too much. He was producing, he was writing, he was directing, he was editing. I mean, it's just that's too much for one person to do on a massive production like that. I'm sorry, it just is. You can oversee everything and you can say yes and no and look at things and mean like that doesn't work. But to try to handle all that for those films, I mean, that's just too much. I think the dialogue shows because of it. But other than that, I think those movies have actually held up and gotten better over time. Maybe the sequel trilogy will be that way over time as well, especially if we get some new characters, you know, that Taika's going to bring to the table. And if Taika brings some new, you know, think of like Knights of the Old Republic. That game is some of people's favorites to ever watch a story unfold with Star Wars. It was through a game. It was like this RPG kind of base game, or maybe it was more like an MMO, but anyways, or a hybrid. And they've got a new one of those coming out, which I'm dying to get my hands on. I mean, talk about a time waster right there. I mean, as far as wasting your life playing a game, boy, that one will be easy to do it with, just like Elder Scrolls and stuff like that. But I'm definitely wanting Taika to go that route. I wouldn't mind if he goes way back in the past or something, or way in the future. You know, tell a story that's going to get us pumped up and interested in Star Wars, not like he said something about Chewbacca's grandmother, or, you know, it's just like, I don't want to see that. I do say that Jon Favreau's introduction of Grogu, a little baby Yoda character, that was pretty awesome. That was, I think, a moment in Star Wars that'll go down in history where people were like, as soon as they saw that thing at the end of that episode, you're like, I mean, and what's great is nobody thought of that. Nobody thought of it one time. You know what I bet they're going to do? There's going to be a baby Yoda. No, I will bet my life that there was nobody out there that saw that coming when you're watching that show. And that was what was so great about it. And it was meaningful. It meant something awesome because you know so little about Yoda. and his past and what he really is, where he comes from, how he was born, nothing, you know? So to see another young Yoda who's already like 50 years old, right? Grogu, isn't he like 50? uh, that was just amazing. And we need more of that. That was an original new character. Yes, it was connected to a species that we were familiar with, but we had never seen that character before. And I need that. And so Taika, I think, can really bring that to the table. Um, it was supposed to be the guys who did Game of Thrones, Damian Lindelof, and I can't remember the other guy's name ever, but they sound like a big deal with Netflix, so they're not going to be doing the Star Wars thing now. They backed out of it. I mean, they even had a whole big article on how they backed out of it. But so I'm all about Taika doing it. So look, Kevin Feige's supposed to be doing a Star Wars movie. We got Taika Waititi doing a Star Wars movie. I hope Kevin's movie is good. I'm not sure what he has in store with that, but I can almost guarantee you that Taika's movie is going to be good. I can guarantee you that, like when J.J. Abrams took over Star Wars, I wasn't 100% like, oh, it's going to be amazing. I was still like, I was excited that JJ was doing it because I loved what he did with Star Trek, the first one and the third one. The second one, while I still enjoy it, it has some moments that I don't care for, but this is, as far as him rebooting a franchise, I think he did a pretty good job with Force Awakens. It's just everything that comes after that ruined what was started with Force Awakens, and then Rise of Skywalker ruins what was they were trying to correct in Last Jedi. Anyways, but I still was slightly apprehensive about him doing a Star Wars movie. I am not apprehensive about Taika Waititi doing a Star Wars movie. I think that he is someone that fully understands it. I think he's someone that is grown up living and breathing Star Wars just like the rest of us. Not to say that JJ didn't, but I just feel like Taika's more of a fanboy. And I think we're going to get some cool stuff from him with Star Wars. So I'm all about it. Let's do it, brother. Now, moving on to our second and other final topic. Got my Batman swell here. I'm sure you guys seen this, and it came out like early yesterday morning, or even the night before. Maybe it came out like late Monday night. But Lady Gaga is in major talks right now. It's not 100%, but is in major talks to play Harley Quinn in Joker 2. Directed by Todd Phillips and starring Joaquin Phoenix. So, even though this is like a day and a half old news, I still had to kind of talk about this. So, I'm all about Lady Gaga. I'll be the first to say when she first came on the scene, I was kind of like, all right, she's all right, another pop star. But then I started kind of seeing that she might be a little different. I saw her being a shock rocker a little bit, which I thought was cool. And then I was like, okay, so you're kind of like Madonna. And then she comes out with some stuff that kind of sounds Madonna-esque. And I'm like, that's kind of rip-offy. But then she's like, no, I'm just trying to do my Madonna, put my Madonna on right now. And I thought that was cool. But then next thing you know, she starts coming out in movies and everything. And slowly but surely, I became somebody that I got it. I was like, oh, you know what? I get what she's doing now. I see it. And I really enjoy Lady Gaga's presence in the entertainment industry. I mean, at the inauguration this last year, or this last presidency, when that happened and she sang, I mean, that was a beautiful, beautiful presentation of her just being very patriotic and not trying to, be a shock rocker during something like that. She was very respectful. It's kind of like when Beyonce did the national anthem at the Super Bowl one year. A lot of people were, worried that she was going to kind of Destiny's Child it up. And it was quite the opposite. She gave one of the best performances ever, the national anthem. And so same with Lady Gaga at the inauguration. And when I saw her in House of Gucci, I was blown away. I already knew she could do good because I saw her in Star Was Born, but Star Was Born was kind of along the lines of her pre-existing career anyways. It was her being a musician on screen. So I'm not saying that didn't take talent, because she did a great job in that. But it was just, I felt like it was kind of an extension of her music career. Whereas House of Gucci, I was blown away. First off, I love Ridley Scott. If you guys watch my channel a lot, know that about me. But I love Ridley Scott, and I thought he did a phenomenal job with this movie. I thought all the other actors were great, including Adam Driver, especially Jared Leto, and her. I was amazed at the way she portrayed this person and the way she portrayed this person throughout the years. And what's her name? Reggiani. What's her first name though? Oh, I'm drawing a blank on it. Why am I drawing a blank? Because it's oh, anyways, I'm not going to focus on that. But her last name was Reggiani, and she just did a great job of playing young, middle aged, a little older, classy times when she was like worn out and just maybe desperate. Like all of it was perfect. And so when they came out and was talking about her doing the Joker too and being Harley Quinn, first off, I was very, let me just say, as far as her playing Harley Quinn, I think that's fine. I think that's great. I think that she's going to be a great Harley Quinn. I think that she'll show more of a serious side, more of a darker side to a character of Harley Quinn that obviously is going to be presented in this Joker movie because this Joker universe that Todd Phillips has is way more real, darker. It's not based in a world where people have superpowers like Suicide Squad is. So I think she can be a great Harley Quinn in that serious Todd Phillips universe. But I also was fine with there being just one Joker film as far as this one right here. I'm afraid them turning this into a franchise now, which they said they weren't going to do from the beginning, but yes, now they're doing it. I'm just afraid that it's going to dilute the first film, kind of like The Matrix. You know, when The Matrix first came out, it was so amazing. They had no intention for a sequel. And then now they're like, oh, not only we want you to make a sequel, we want you to make two sequels. So they do. And I I don't feel like it really turned out to be what the first one was ever considered. You know, like there's no way it could have been. There's no way. I think they knew that. Even making it, it's like, yeah, this is going to be cool. But sometimes that lightning in the bottle is lightning in the bottle, and I feel like that the Joker may have been that. We'll see with the second one. There might be something awesome about the second one that happens, but for the most part, I do feel that it's gonna. I'm just worried that it's gonna dilute the first one. Now, Joaquin's awesome, and I don't feel that Joaquin would sign on for another one if he didn't like where this script was going. And Todd Phillips is going to be in charge of it as well. In fact, if you guys don't know this, Todd Phillips is actually kind of in charge of the DC movies now. Now, he's not like a Kevin Feige as far as the way Kevin Feige is for Marvel. Like Kevin Feige is Marvel. But Todd Phillips, I think, is going to be more of their kind of consulting decision guy. Like, what do you think we should be making? Not how it's going to be made, not making decisions about the movie specifically, but I think that he's going to bring to light to them what's going to present itself better to the audience and what's going to get a better response from society. Because look, while the DC does make a good one every now and then, and when they do make a good one, I really like it, but they also have kind of been they never gained that momentum that Marvel did, and they still don't have it. I mean, they are very I mean, the amount of stuff and content that's come out in the DC world compared to what Marvel's done in the past 15 years is just night and day in quality and in quantity. I do feel that when a DC movie's good, it's awesome. I do think that. I think that outside of the Batman, which I think the Batman is really good, it's just not what I wanted from Batman. Um, I really enjoyed Aquaman, and I thought the Joker was phenomenal. Joker was a movie that's almost tough to watch because he does such a good job of playing this guy that's so disturbed, Arthur Curry, and that the way that they present his life and the things that he's going through and the way you develop this compassion and empathy towards him, and then he turns out to be this kind of crazy dude and somebody that you would naturally be afraid of and have every right to be. It was just a good story and it worked really well, and I just remember being in the theater being like, wow, this is pretty awesome. um and I'm you got a lot to live up to with the second one now. Now, the way I'm thinking it's going to happen is that Lady Gaga, is going to be Harley Quinn, and they meet when he's committed, when he's in Arkham. So she's one of the doctors in there. So I'm hoping this is going to be the story of him recruiting her over, transitioning her over, breaking her mind, and whatever happens to make her snap to create where she creates this obsession for the Joker. I'd like it to be about that. I honestly, I don't want to see her in the pigtails and the blue and the red and the black and the like those bright bubblegummy pop colors, which I love that. Like this right here, this picture of her up there on the top. I mean, I could see that kind of working, but I think for what Todd Phillips is going to go for with this movie, it's going to be much more on a realistic level, the way Joker was. I mean, if you look at the way Joaquin's makeup is in here, it looks like he just put it on himself. It's not hardcore. It's just some blue over the eyes, drawn in a long diamond shape, some weird eyebrows drawn with red real quick, and then the smile. And all he did, and the nose, all he did was just make sure it was nice and tight and clean. But as far as, you know, even the Heath Ledger makeup was, I feel like, a little more extensive than this, with the black bleeding through the eyes and everything. I mean, it still looked like he did it himself, but this, it really feels more of a real world. Dark Knight, it felt real, but it still felt like it was in a comic book world, kind of. It was still very real, but not real like the Joker movie was. Oh, look, I got a comment here from someone. Oh, what's up, dog? This is my old school buddy Anshul. How you doing, man? Long time no talk to. I see you in the chats and on the socials all the time, but hey, thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate it. You just tuned in for the second half. I covered Ezra Miller a little bit, but I did that yesterday. But just got done talking about Taika and Star Wars and just how he's doing new stuff. But now we're talking about old Joker too. And so, I was just saying how I don't feel like this is necessarily what I want. I definitely want to see why she would turn and fall for Arthur Curry in this movie. I want to see something from Joaquin that makes you still, as an audience member, almost fall for him like Harley Quinn does. I want to see a performance that gets you so enthralled when you're watching it that you almost forget you're watching a Joker movie, which is how the first one was. What I'm worried about is, now that they're bringing another character from the DC universe into this, Harley Quinn, is that it's going to start feeling like a comic book. And that's exactly what's happened with Marvel, which I'm disappointed about with Marvel now. I still am there for Marvel. I'm still watching it all, and I still enjoy it, and I still have fun with it because I'm a fanboy. But it doesn't have what the movies leading up to Endgame had, where it's just like, these are awesome movies outside of the comic book element. Now it's just for the comic book lovers. And I feel like if they do this franchise, it's going to lend itself towards that by bringing in more characters. I could be wrong. Todd Phillips is a badass, and I think that he can do something good with this. And if Joaquin's signing on for it, something's good. Got to, it can't just be another comic book movie. And I would say that for Lady Gaga as well, because she's trying to build a legitimate acting career as far as being respected, So here we got a little comment right here. He says you can expect a much more real take on her. Oh, something's in my way of my screen. Her reasoning when it comes to the mental health aspect. Yeah, I think that the whole thing's got to be a realer take. Without it, it's just going to feel like Harley Quinn again. And I want you to forget that this person is Harley Quinn when you're Harley Quinn when you're watching her. I want you to think that she's a doctor that's trying to help Arthur Curry. And I want us to believe that she could fall for him. I don't want it to be like, oh, she's hypnotized or some. Now, I think that with Harley Quinn, there was always this thing that where she might have a little fascination of crazy inside of her. That's why she was a doctor to begin with in the asylum. But I want to see him pull a magic trick on her to where you just see her get warped. And if it focuses on that emotion, like it did in the first movie with his, the way you thought he had this relationship with Zazie Beetz, and then finds out later on that, oh, he was envisioning all that. Like, but it was none of it was real. In fact, she doesn't know him at all, and she's kind of afraid of. Oh, to me, that was amazing. And if they do something like that again, and this one would be awesome. Another thing I want from this movie is I want it to be. I want to see a bloodbath happen in the asylum. And what I'm thinking is that him and Harley Quinn are probably going to escape at the end of this movie and go on their merry way and start the real life of Joker and Harley Quinn, which that'll be fine. But if it happens, I want to see a bloodbath. Now, look, it's an R-rated movie. It's got to be. The first one was R. So if it's R, we could see that. I want to see the Joker wreck some shop and literally just kill tons of people getting out of this asylum. To me, that would be a payoff. Faux show. See what we got here. Another one. Marvel is designated to be a family comic-centered comic experience. They know why people fell in love in the comics in the past. Good guys beating up bad guys. That's why their villains are one-dimensional. I agree with you on that, but I think that there was a way that they were including things in all the films up until Endgame that had something that could make people that weren't comic book movie lovers get involved. Like my mom was enjoying them. Like now, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, while I enjoyed it, she's not going to like it. And it feels just a little less important to me. Again, I'm still there for all of it. The Disney Plus shows I think are kind of okay. I think they're kind of mediocre personally. They feel like Disney. But, you know, I enjoyed Spider-Man No Way Home. While it had a hole here and there in it, I still enjoyed it. Really looking forward to Thor Love and Thunder, though. I'm really looking forward to that. I think that Taika is the man, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Anshul also says, with the fact that they are going with a musical makes me think it's going to skirt the line between what it really reality and what it is not even more than the first movie. All right, so is that real? Um, if it is a musical, I don't know, man. I mean, is it going to be half musical and half real? Because if it is, I would think that maybe it's a musical in his head, you know, or maybe some drugs get involved and they go on a like trip, like a yellow submarine trip, and they're singing and stuff all along the way. And next thing you know, she's gone crazy. But I kind of thought that that was like a joke. But man, if they can't be doing like show tunes where people start joining in and song and dance with them, right? I mean, I hope not. I and again, I have heard this musical thing, but okay, so you're saying similar to the Elton John movie. I could see that working a little bit where they just kind of do a little bit of the song and it's not even really the song, it's kind of incorporated into his life. But even then, man, that's ballsy. Um, Maybe it'll be like Sweeney Todd. I mean, it could be. Uh, I I'm excited. I'll obviously be there to see it. I think I would have been fine with this just being a one shot deal with Joker just being that it's one movie and being like, damn, this is awesome. I mean, I have to be honest with them greenlighting another Batman with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson. While I thought Robert Pattinson was really good as Batman, actually excellent. I wasn't super on board for Matt Reeves' vision. I don't think he's a bad director. I think he's a great director. Cloverfield is my favorite monster movie of all time, but I just wasn't on board with how much of a Seven movie it was in Gotham. It was Batman in a Seven movie, and I need Seven, that detective noir element, to just be one component of Batman, not the only thing that we see the entire 3 hours, mind you, which was too long. Um, I just Lots of stuff to be loved about that movie. The casting was great. All kinds of things are great. I thought the music could have been way better, but for the most part, it just didn't. I watched the Dark Knight trilogy really close after I watched the Batman twice in the theater. And man, every one of those, the Batman Begins, the Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises, all give me chills, man. Like I was like, this is the way I want to feel when I'm watching a Batman movie. I wanted to go put on the suit. I didn't feel that way when I was watching the Batman. Got some more comments. Um, Also says he loved the first movie, but always felt like the Joker was thrown into the first movie to boost ticket sales. It was not really a Joker movie. I mean, I think that I definitely feel like that Todd Phillips took a hybrid of the whole taxi driver thing and said, "How do I turn this into a Joker story?" And that's what we got. I felt like it was a lot of Joker, but I do feel like that they made you feel really empathetic for a character that we had never felt that way about in the comics before. You may have felt sorry for him for a second, but then you find out something dark about him. And this one, they really tried to make you feel really, really bad for him. So I think that they maybe could have lightened up on that a little, but as a whole, as a film, I thought it was really well made and it was badass. And I thought the performances were. It's just a really well done movie that I think in 20 years we'll watch again. It'll be awesome. I say that it could be tainted by the time we get 2 and 3 because they're doing a second one. They're going to do a third one. And just like the Matrix, Matrix when it was one movie, it was amazing. When it became 3 movies, it was just like, it's okay trilogy. And hey, thank you. You say you agree with me about the Matt Reeves Batman. Awesome. And look, I want you guys to know this is coming from a guy, my boy chiming in here, Anshul. It's coming from a guy who's a very, very well read comic book reader as far as from back in the day. Like he knows his shit. So for him to say that, that makes me happy. That makes me feel good that you feel that way, man, because it wasn't bad. It wasn't that I didn't enjoy parts of it. And there were moments that were really cool, but as a movie and as a whole, just not what I wanted from a Batman film. But that's dude, that really that gives me a lot of validation that you feel that way. Like, I don't care what the critics think. It's if I want my fellow fanboys, my fellow readers, the guys that know the stuff, like, scripture and verse, I want to know that they agree with me on this because I do think that people that weren't really comic book readers thought it was that was a great movie, but Batman means something more to us. I mean, literally, Batman is the way I've gotten through certain things in life. My divorce, my dad's death. I'm not kidding you. Like the creed of what Batman, the way he fights for good and lived through his parents' death and all that shit helped me get through a lot. And I'm sure it's helped other people as well. So when they do the Batman movie, it means I need it to be something big. He says, Anshul says, it felt like the fight scenes were off. It almost felt like he was forced to include them. Yeah, I mean, the first one we see when he first saves that one guy with all the group of guys with their eyes all, darkened out. That fight scene was pretty cool. But everything else we saw all of it in the preview, by the way. Like all the cool scenes with the car and everything like that, all that was in the preview. Like when you're seeing it in the theater, it was just a little longer than the scene we saw in a preview. You know what I mean? But yeah, the fight scenes didn't really feel like they knew what they're doing. And they did feel forced in there. And Batman, the little ways he was just sort of like floating among everybody, like just chilling and talking to the Penguin up in his room and not like doing it in a more like the way Bale would have done it or Affleck's Batman would have done it is he would have beat him up. And then when they woke up and they're tied up, then he starts interrogating them. But no, he's just sitting there chilling up with the Penguin. And the way that he was just so close to the cops all the time and just walking around just right next to him, I just don't like that. That's not the way it works. So I'm glad you agree with me, Anshul. Faux show. But maybe they'll learn from that and change some of that in the next film. Because even with a film that is amazing, you still need something to be new and different in the sequel. You don't need it to be the exact same replica of the first film. That's what was so good about Spider-Man 2 compared to Spider-Man 1. It felt like a straight continuation, but it brought a lot of this newness and feel to it that you didn't have in the first one, which those are 2 of the greatest comic book movies ever made. But you say you think Batman's a bit of a broken character. He's been made to OP in the comics. This movie, however, had the opposite problem. When you say he's been made to OP, forgive me. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. But he is a broken character. You know what I think? Batman's not only a broken character, but I think the spirit and the hype and the angst for Batman is sort of lost right now. Like when you oversaturate it, you make us not miss it. Oh, you say overpowered. Gotcha. Yeah. You were saying he's been made to be overpowered in the comics. This movie had the opposite problem. Yeah, you're right. Where we need him to be still kind of tough enough to where he's better than everybody else, but we don't need him to be so overpowered like he is in the comics to where he's never be able to be outsmart or beaten or but this one they made him get beat up a lot. And I want Batman to be awesome, that's what was great about the Bale trilogy. The Nolan and Bale trilogy was, to me, as films, the best representation of Batman yet. As a character, as an individual portraying the person in the Batman suit, I'm still Batfleck all day long. I think Batfleck, when I see that dude in the suit, that's what I remember seeing in the comics. Now, the movies of the Dark Knight, that trilogy, I think that nailed the idea of Batman the best. But just looking at one of them on screen, it's still Batfleck for me. So, and I love Michael Keaton. I ain't hating on Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's awesome. I loved him as Batman. But I'm just talking about the ones that I think have been the best thus far. So anyways, what do you guys think? I know what Anshul thinks, man, about the new Joker movie. And I agree with you on a lot of stuff. I hope they do portray a real version of why she falls in love with the Joker, and I hope it's not silly and get comic booky. I do hope it's R-rated. I hope it's dark. I hope it's not too much music, if it is going to be some music in there, and I hope that musical element is adapted into the script in a way to where it feels organic and not like, oh, we turned this into a, you know what I mean? It's like when they shoot a movie and then scan it into 3D so they can put it in 3D in theaters. Now, it's one thing to do that, and then there's one other way to shoot it in 3D, and then there you have a movie that you can actually watch in 3D. So I feel like it'll be the same thing. You don't just scan something over. Let's get something that's really awesome and in depth. And we'll see. But it looks like he likes Batfleck. Maybe I like Batfleck as well. I also didn't like how this movie didn't have the dichotomy between the Bruce Wayne and Batman personas. Yeah. And the way they made the Wayne family look kind of, it in a weird way, it kind of looks like that they might be trying to sneakily incorporate this new Batman franchise with the Joker franchise. Because if you think of the way they're making his family look corrupt in this Batman movie, in Matt Reeves' Batman movie, and in the Joker, you remember they made Thomas Wayne look corrupt in that. So I'm just curious if they're going to try to do some sort of connection. I wouldn't be surprised, but also, it could be just a theory. Well, guys, that's all I got to say about everything today. Anshul, thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate that. Hey, anybody else watching this video after? Thanks for clicking on it too. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all tomorrow with some new shit to talk about. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button so you can help us make it to the top. And as always, if life gives you lemons, make some hot, fresh popcorns. Ho!